So today I'm going to talk about how I seal my work so the surface can be cleaned later in life. So this piece that was from the Pitfire demo video, you can see now it's shiny because I actually put a tile wax on it, a floor wax, and which is an acrylic sealer. This protects the surface from people smudging it from touching it all the time, or also makes it easier to dust or clean for future use. So it's one of the things that I'm concerned about with these surfaces because they're really fragile and they can chip. So I usually put a sealer on them, and I'm going to talk about that right now. And it also brings out the colors more. This piece has not been sealed, but I've washed it, so I'm going to go ahead and paint a layer on it. And I use this Pledge floor wax that's a clear acrylic. The main thing is to make sure that you're using one that's for plastic floors versus wood floors. The wood floor finish will actually turn a little bit yellow. Other people use tile wax. There's multiple waxes that are used for sealing. So you're going to see online lots of different ways to do this. And I'm just going to show you the way that I've been doing it. So here's an Avera piece that's been washed. And then this is my feather piece that I did in a demo. So all I do is mix the tile wax 50-50 with water. And then you can see it just soaks right in. And that's the thing about the surface being partly porous still, is that it will take this material. You got to be careful for drips as you brush it on, because the drips will show up in the final product when it's dry. So I put a layer on, work my way around, and I'm just keeping an eye on our drips. The feather is, even though I've already scrubbed this, is still a pretty fragile surface with the carbon. So this is carbon, so I'm painting this to seal the carbon. And that way it doesn't get too smudged from people touching it over time. The oils in your hands will leave marks. So I'm gonna go around one more time. I don't worry about the little bubbles that much. I've noticed they don't do much, or they don't just do much damage to or detract from the surface. They disappear. And the more layers you put on this, the shinier it's gonna get. So if you don't want it shiny, just put one layer on or add more water to it and less floor wax, and it just takes practice figuring out the ratios. But like I said, normally I do 50-50, and then let the piece dry. And you can see, I'm picking it up so I can see right here, I have a little bit of a drip action going, so I'm going to fix that. Another way to seal them is with an acrylic clear coat spray. But I don't like using the clear coat spray as much because it makes them super glossy. And then so if I do use a clear coat spray, I usually use what they use for hobby toys, like when you build cars and models, which is dull coat. So I'll spray the gloss coat, make it super shiny. That protects the surface, makes it really hard. Then I spray a dull coat, and that dries it back down again. So it gives it the original surface if you want to keep it drier. Okay. So this is, I'm just going to set it to the side to dry. And I do the same with the Avera. And the main reason is if this mask did not get hot enough within the Avera process, we want to go to a 1650, but sometimes the mask cooled too fast, or your piece might cool too fast. And so there might be some flour material that hasn't burned off. And even after washing it, that material can still be there. And sometimes I've seen the Avera will change color. It will actually oxidize and start growing. It'll turn green. So I use the floor wax mix on this also. One, it brings out the blacks, brings out the colors a lot more, the oranges and the blacks. But it also seals it from starting to grow or turn green. Like I always think of, sometimes you see a potato chip that's turned green a little bit, or like potatoes that way. So I seal these masks too. One, to bring out the color, but also to make sure that they don't start turning fuzzy in any way. But if it's gone really, really hot, like this one did, it probably won't do that. It's only when the temperature is under about 1200 where I've run into that problem. And you can tell also if it's under 1200 because the black will come right off. Okay? So this is just a basic way to surface seal pieces that are porous, that are not for function.